Continuing on in this series of self-publishing with Dale, the book series that I'm publishing over, well, gosh, the next year here. I mean, we're going all the way up to August to finish out this 12-book series. And partway through this series is going to be YouTube for authors. And so naturally, we're going to go ahead and tap into that today just a little bit more. And I'll just, as a heads up, this is not due out until March in 2025. So you're getting a little bit of a heads up notice. I'll give you more details as the broadcast goes along. But what's YouTube like for authors? Is this going to be a worthwhile venture? Well, of course it's going to be a worthwhile venture. Why would I put together an entire podcast to talk about it? And I think that the fact that I've had 4 YouTube channels fully monetize part of the YouTube Partner Program in some capacity shows that I definitely know what I'm doing here on the YouTube space. So make sure that you stay tuned to today's podcast. Marketing your book is hard enough without spending hours searching for the perfect awards and reviewers. That's why I'm grateful for Book Award Pro, a service that has completely revolutionized how I market my books. With Book Award Pro, you're not just applying for awards, you're making an investment in your book's future. Their tailored recommendations ensure you're only applying to the awards that are the best fit for your genre and goals. Plus, they offer plans for every budget, including a free option for those just starting out and 2 premium plans for hands-off convenience. Since teaming up with Book Award Pro, I've won over 42 awards across 12 publications. Beyond the accolades, it's created ongoing buzz that keeps my books relevant and my audience engaged. Whether you're looking for book awards or reviews, Book Award Pro has you covered. Take your book marketing to the next level and save valuable time by visiting dalelinks.com/bookawardpro. Again, that's dalelinks.com/bookawardpro. All right, now we got that out the way. Let's dive into talking about YouTube for authors. How are you going to be able to crush it? Let's just take it a couple steps back here first. Why YouTube? Because there's a ton of video platforms that are out there. I mean, you got the TikToks, the Facebooks, the X's, the Instagrams, the Twitches, and all that. Well, YouTube is a powerful platform for not just authors, but for a lot of folks that are trying to establish their online presence. They reach, and this is as of March 2024, so I imagine it's probably increased since, over 2.5 billion users worldwide. That's billion with a B. 2.5 billion users worldwide. Now, they have everything you can think of, between tutorials, live question and answers. Heck, you can put book trailers up. You can do any types of videos. I mean, there's something for everyone. And I don't care how niche your topic is inside your book. There's something for somebody over on YouTube. And you know, the nice thing about YouTube is the searchability factor. YouTube is what some people would refer to as the second largest search engine, meaning the second most used search engine, of course, second to their sister company, Google. And so that tells you, boy, and by the way, side note, as soon as you can start placing for search on YouTube, I can almost guarantee you're going to do it on Google. You'll see. It's just, it's incredible having the two of those, a 1-2 punch. But as far as, you know, authors succeeding onto YouTube, my goodness, there are so many authors. I mean, we're talking probably tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of authors. But a lot of people are like, okay, Dale, there's a lot of authors, but are they really crushing it? Now, don't let subscriber counts be the thing that you determine on the success of a specific channel, because I've seen some authors out there that have less than 1,000 subscribers, but they're pulling in a substantial amount of revenue through that YouTube. Why? Because they're leveraging it the proper way. But if you want to have more popular ones, then as examples, you can look up Jenna Moresi. You can look up Daniel Green, one of my personal favorites, good friend of mine, and also another personal favorite, Michael Aran. He used to have his channel, was called Author Level Up at one point. Now it's just Michael Aran. The Courtney Project's a great one. Bethany Adazada, Mandy Lynn. There are so many more. By the way, SD Houston, got to give a big shout out to my pal Shannon. She actually crushes it over there as an author. So there are so many examples of authors that are leveraging YouTube and leveraging it in the right way. But how do you break into it? What's the best first steps? Let's just go ahead and take those steps one at a time. The very first thing you got to get out your way, define your niche. Who is the audience and what are their expectations? So what I would say as an author, don't do what I did, okay? Back in 2016, I saw some great traction in my fitness books, and it went really well. I landed a couple of interviews to talk about my success as a best-selling author back then, and I thought, you know what, let me start up a YouTube channel to talk about self-publishing. Now, no regrets, but I would imagine this would be a different story had I actually gotten into the niche that serves my actual audience, my reading audience. So think about that audience and how you can serve their needs through YouTube. It becomes a little bit difficult, obviously, for some fiction authors, but not impossible. Again, I've given you some pretty good examples. You can go over, take a look at some of their content. How are they serving their audience? Is that serving the audience that is buying their books? Because if that's the case, you're good to go. So great example. Instead of me publishing and promoting fitness books, now I publish books about, of course, self-publishing. One hand washes the other. I'm able to promote my YouTube channels through my books. And through my books, I'm able to promote my YouTube channels. It all one hand washes the other. But it's so important that you narrow your focus. Narrow it down. Now, what does that look like? You could be doing writing tutorials. Fantastic. I love watching some writing tutorials. Brandon Sanderson's got some great ones. You got book reviews, self-publishing tips. You can even talk about what you're doing as far as a project go. Could be some simple as a vlog, or even some of the practice of, what you're doing for research for a nonfiction book. There are so many angles we can take into this. So what I would say is, when you have a good idea of your niche and what aligns with that niche and your author brand, look for other authors already doing it. Now, if for some reason you don't find somebody that is 100% inside your niche and genre, you don't find, say, a romantasy author on YouTube, which, by the way, I'm sure you'll find one easily. You don't find that romantasy author. That's okay. Find somebody that's going to be at least adjacent to that. It could be romance writer of some sort. It could be even a fantasy writer of some sort. But find those ones, because they're going to give you little clues onto what you could be able to do to serve your audience. Now, here's a pro tip. What are your readers or your fellow authors asking about? Think about that. Because if they're asking about these things, they're wanting a solution to their problems. So what are your readers asking about? How can you solve that problem? What are your fellow authors asking about? How can you solve that problem? Now, again, you're wanting to just service your audience of readers alone, and put off the advice for authors. It's fine. Totally get it. Don't do a Dale. You can do it if you want to, but I'm going to tell you it's a long, hard road. Not many self-published authors are interested in buying my fitness books. Now, self-published authors might be interested in buying my books about self-publishing. So you can see. All right. Now, the next step you're going to need to do is set up your channel. Dead simple. Now, I'm not going to sit here and walk you through a tutorial. You just go onto YouTube, set up yourself a channel of some sort. Bing, bang, boom, done. It literally takes minutes. So the very basics that you need to focus on is you're going to want to make sure you create a branded YouTube channel. Now, you're probably saying, what do you mean by branded? Does that mean I need to go get like a poker of some sort and put it inside a fire and get it hot and stick somebody with that? No, not like that. But in a certain aspect, it's less painful, but it's a way of people knowing who you are and what you're about at just a glance. So the very first steps you're going to need to do is add a professional profile picture. So important. Now, some of you out there might be inclined to post a picture of your book and your profile image. Don't do that. All right? Use your author profile image. Now, in the event that you're you're going under a pen name and you don't want to have your picture up, that's totally fine. But I would recommend that you have a human person with, you can see the whites of their eyes inside the professional image, because more people are going to be bound to trust that. And what I would recommend also is that same profile picture is going to be the same thing you're going to use on other social media platforms, from the Instagrams to the Facebooks to the X's to everything else in between. So get that professional profile picture. Now, in the event that you can't hire a professional photographer, that's totally fine. There's so many, iPhones these days do incredible pictures. Just about any smartphone does incredible pictures. You can always get it nice and dressed up, cropped down, and upload it there. The next thing you're going to need is a banner. Now, the banner should be something super simple. What can people expect from your channel? It should not be a full sentence, 5 to 6 words at best. And I would also recommend, do not set yourself up for failure. All right. I've seen a lot of people, and I've done this myself before, where it says inside their banner, it says a release every Monday. Well, what happens when you run into issues Sunday or Monday and you're not able to put that video out? Then you're going to be stressed out. What I would recommend is don't put expectations like that. Don't put a new video every week or a new video every Monday, Tuesday, Friday, or something like that. Just keep it simple. What is your channel about? So for instance, if you were to look into mine, like more recently, my channel banner is promoting my latest book, but usually it has like an image. It has a picture of me holding on a large stack of books, and it says, publish books that sell. That's it. People learn how to publish books that sell. They know exactly what my channel is about just at a quick glance. The next thing you're going to want to do is write an engaging channel description targeting your niche. Yes. All right. So now we got to dig into the settings inside your dashboard. And when you go into your YouTube Studio dashboard, that's what it's called, bottom right hand corner, there's a little sprocket. You're going to click on that, and it's going to have all of your settings in there. And that's where you can put your channel description in there. Get to the point. You don't need to be putting together this massive biography inside your about section. You need to go with viewer first. What are their expectations? They don't care about you. I hate to say it. I know it sounds pretty hurtful, but they don't care about you. They care that you are going to solve one of their problems or some of their problems, be it entertainment or information. So make sure you dial that channel description in. So immediately, the first sentence should tell people exactly what they can expect from your channel. Make sure you're loading it up with keywords as well. Keywords that are specific to your genre, to your niche, so it makes you more discoverable in the YouTube platform. Now, fill everything out in the channel settings. Gosh, there's from top to bottom, inside out. You can put filter words in if you want to. You can give permissions to people. Now, that doesn't make any darn bit of difference, but you could put in your description as well as your channel tags. Get those set up so that way it's set and forget. From time to time, you may need to go back through there and edit those things. But I would say maybe once a year. And if you don't change your content too much, then it's probably not going to be a big deal. Once you have all those items set and in place, what I would recommend is get peer feedback. You can go to any social media platform and ask for people's opinion, and they will give it to you. They will willingly give you their opinion, be it over on X, Facebook, Reddit, whatever that might be. Ask for feedback. You could also save yourself a little bit of heartache. Just come on over to my Discord community, because I have just a great community of authors, over 1,100 active members to date. Fantastic group on there. Go over to dalelinks.com/discord, join on in there, and just ask for feedback in there. It really does help if you try to not do it on your own. If you've ever looked at any of my channels at all, then you would probably know that, well, yeah, that is not the first iteration of the graphics and things I've put up there, because I've put that in front of my peers and had them give feedback. You can get bonus points if you can find another author that's within YouTube and is experienced within YouTube to give you advice and some feedback. Remember, take it with a pinch of salt. You don't want to go like someone's just like, oh, this graphics horrible, but then 10 other people are like, oh, this is fantastic graphics. So just remember that. Now, the next step forward is going to be planning your content. It is of absolute importance that you plan your content as well as being consistent with your content. YouTube rewards YouTube video creators that are consistent. I'll give you as an example here that I took 2 weeks off at the end of the year in 2024. And you know what YouTube did? They stopped sending traffic, because as soon as you are not consistent, they're less apt to send you new viewers. They love new content. And if you can be able to grab somebody's interest and get more people watching your videos for longer, then they're going to reward you for that. So if you're just setting up your YouTube channel, what I would recommend is plan out your content. You probably are getting familiar with your genre and your niche. You've done some studying of some other people that are doing the same thing on YouTube that you would like to do. Now it's going to be a case of just sitting down and come up with about 6 to 12 video concepts that you can kind of put together. You want to focus on, and we'll dive deeper into these particular ones here in just a little bit. You want to focus on the titles, descriptions, and the thumbnails. That's the graphic that represents your video and entices people to watch a little bit more. So get that content planning out of the way. I know it's a pain in the butt. I usually sit down for my podcast and I plan about 12 weeks in advance because I do one content idea per week. But getting it all done, I'll tell you, it makes my life so much easier. So at any rate, content ideas though for authors, you can do writing advice, you can do behind the scenes, you can do book promotions. There's so many things you can do. I've kind of tapped into this already, so I'm just going to stop repeating myself here. Now, how I plan my content, dead simple. I just ask my audience, or I study the competition. Now, I don't like to think about folks like Michael Laron or Mark Leslie Lefebvre or BookBrush or Dibbly Creator or anybody else that has YouTube channels as my competition. But they are folks that are taking attention over from viewers that would otherwise come and see my video. So that's why I refer to them as competition. Not that I'm trying to crush them or put them out of business. They're all fantastic individuals. But I study the competition and I ask my audience. The audience is always going to tell you exactly what they want. Again, take it with a pinch of salt, because if one person says one random small like, hey, I think that you should start wearing a beanie with a little propeller over top of it, and speak backwards in each one of them. That's probably not the best advice that you're going to get from anybody. You don't want to be planning content around that. But here's the really cool thing. And if you've already been on YouTube, you probably might be aware or may not be aware of a new tab in your dashboard called Inspiration. So if you were to go into your YouTube tab for the content, you'll see an Inspiration tab. Click on that. That has artificial intelligence assistance with thumbnails, titles, and outlines based on what has been performing really well within your niche. So I really have liked this one. This actually rolled out within the last month or two, and it is really cool. Now, the thumbnails it give you are, yeah, I'm not going to use their thumbnails. It's pretty hot trash. But beyond that, though, they do come up with some great ideas for titles and outlines, and that does make life a little bit easier. And I've actually found that really good bargaining chip that I'm able to use with sponsors and potential brand deals, where I'm able to kind of find some things that are performing really well according to YouTube, and then serve that to the brand or sponsor that I'll be working with. Now, what type of video format should you be doing? It's going to be completely up to you. You can have all the different types of content, but there are a few things that we kind of need to pay attention to. One is going to be long form video. Now, when I mean long form video, that would be anything that, let's say, it's like 3 minutes or greater. Typically, long form in our business refers to 10 minutes or greater, but more recently, they changed things on YouTube for the next one, which is YouTube Shorts. Now, you can have YouTube Shorts from 1 to 3 minutes long. They more recently increased the ceiling on that one to where you could get 3 minutes on a short. Shorts can get a lot of views, more views than what you would get from a long form video. But the problem is you won't get very much watch time. And as you'll find, YouTube's all about watch time. They love it when you can bring people over that will watch your videos from beginning to end, or as long as humanly possible. And then the other form, and this is one I would recommend for authors out there that are a little bit more time strapped and need options that will get it to where they can do the video content and be done with it. And that would be live streams. Live streams are fantastic. In fact, every Monday I go live on my podcast channel on YouTube where I record the week's worth of podcasts. I sit down, I do my core content like what I'm doing right now, and then right afterwards I will do the news segment that fires off on the Tuesday following that. So live streams are fantastic, and one of the reasons why I do live streams on the podcast is because I just don't have the time to sit down and put together these polished videos and things like that. So now, where do we go from here? We've got those few different types of content that we can put out. You're going to want to make sure you optimize for search. Now, much like we do with our metadata over on Amazon, we will do the same thing for our videos on YouTube. You're going to want to make sure that you have keywords placed within your title and in your description. Tags, I'll get to that in just a second. And then, of course, the channel-wide settings that I had mentioned earlier. Now, as far as researching keywords, you're going to find there's a lot of people that will endorse different products that are like TubeBuddy, vidIQ, or Morning Fame. Now, I'm a personal fan of Morning Fame. I've used TubeBuddy and vidIQ and thought they were pretty good, but I feel like Morning Fame is a little bit more understandable. It's something of my speed. I love them. Fantastic. By the way, I've got a referral link inside the show notes as per usual for you want a 1 month for free with Morning Fame. Go ahead and use that. And if you happen to sign up, obviously I get a nice little referral bonus of 1 free month, but use Morning Fame if that's something of interest to you. So my preference though these days, I'd say 90% of the time I lean on intuition. I've been in the business of doing YouTube since 2016, about almost 9 years coming up here on April. And so there are times when I can kind of know what's going to work and what's not going to work. There's just a gut instinct. So that's going to take some time for you to build that one up. Now, as far as crafting catchy titles, that is what's going to bring more people in. So just having some generic title like, my book is out. Great, no one cares. All right. Something like how my book launch got totally ruined. Now, you've got some interest. Now you have some intrigue. Now, what I would recommend, if you got your hand on any type of AI software out there, everything from Dibbly Create over to ChatGPT, you can go over there and work with AI and massage out some titles that would make sense. As soon as you have a good title you'd like to land on, we'll run with that. But the next thing is you're going to want to make sure you put together a good, accurate description. Now, used to back in the day, we were told like, get all your keywords, cram as many as you can inside the title, cram as many as you can inside the description, and as many as you can inside the tags. Not anymore. In fact, the YouTube creator liaison, Renee, shares just a little bit about that inside his channel as well as over on Twitter, where he pretty much said, look, don't try to stuff a bunch of keywords inside your descriptions. It's just not as important as you would think it is. An accurate description is the best way to go. Now, as far as tags though, tags, are they worthwhile these days? Not really. I've literally put out videos with no tags in them whatsoever, and they've taken off with no problem. And there's some times where I've put some videos with tags in them and they aren't discoverable worth a darn. So focus all of your time and energy on thumbnails and title creation. Thumbnails are going to be a little bit more problematic, especially if you're not a graphic designer. But if you take a little bit of time like I did over the years, you'll teach yourself. Create about 1 to 3 iterations of your thumbnails in different versions. The reason why is there now is a split test option within your dashboard. And so when you go to upload your video, you can put those 3 different iterations in there, and it's going to split test that with different viewers. And based on the results of that specific split test, they're going to find out which of the thumbnails had the highest click-through rate with the best watch time retention, meaning who's clicking on these thumbnails and how long are they watching? Because they're watching for a long time, great. It's not so important that the click-through rate be really great. They want to see better watch time retention. So the more watch times you have based on a particular thumbnail, that's the thumbnail that's going to be chosen, even if that click-through rate is lower than the highest one. So let's just say, for instance, we have thumbnail number 1. It is getting a 25% click-through rate, but only 1 minute's being watched. Whereas if you had another thumbnail and you're getting a 10% click-through rate, but they're watching for 20 minutes at a time, they're going to lean more in favor of the smaller click-through rate because the watch time retention is much longer. Name of the game, folks, is watch time. The next big thing is going to be as soon as you get this cart kind of going, and you don't want to have it stop, engage with your audience. It is absolutely vital that you communicate with your community. You need to build this community through comments first and foremost. A lot of people are always like, oh my gosh, Dale, you answer all your comments. That's fantastic. There's good reason, because it builds a sense of community. It fosters a sense of belonging. And that's where comments come into play. Yeah, sure, there's going to be some comments that you don't agree with. There's going to be some trolling comments from time to time. You can probably just block those. Not a big deal. But always, if you can, take the time, create conversations with people. Encourage questions in your videos and tell them, hey, love to have some suggestions for future topics. And of course, You can also do things like that through live streams where you can have Q&A sessions. Those are very good in building a direct relationship with your viewership. I know this firsthand because when I do these podcast recordings, people show up. I usually have anywhere from about a dozen to 2 dozen people. In fact, right now, 2 dozen people are watching me as I record this podcast. At any rate, so take your time, build out your community, get it to where you're communicating directly with them. I would recommend that if you have like a community of some sort, let's say set up over on Reddit or Facebook or Discord, definitely get those viewers on over there so you can communicate with them more directly. Now, I do know they right now have it on the horizon with YouTube that there's going to be a new community feature that functions almost exactly like Discord or Slack. I want to get access to it, but they haven't given it to me yet. So shout out to YouTube. Come on, hook a boy up here. And last but not least, you want to make sure that you analyze and improve. This is where you're going to want to open up your analytics inside your dashboard and pay attention. The most important thing is don't get hung up on subscribers, folks. That's nice. It's a nice vanity metric. Don't get hung up too much on views. Don't get hung up on having engagement. So let's say, for instance, you're like, Dale, I don't have the time to answer all my comments. Totally fine. Because what is the most important thing? I've already said it before. Say it with me. Watch time. They want you to be a professional time waster. This is what my good old friend Dan Courier said. He is the founder of People of Video. Got a great channel, by the way. Look up Dan Courier whenever you get the opportunity. It's not in the show notes. My apologies. But Dan had said they will reward you if you can get people to watch more. So whenever someone says they binge watch any of my videos, my heart flutters. I get excited by that. That's fantastic. It's for folks like you that I'm able to do this for a living, and I'm thankful for that. So, but you're going to want to make sure that you pay attention to your best performing content. Do not get too romantic about your videos, because there's going to be some times you're going to love this piece. You probably put your heart and your soul and everything you have into it, and it could flop. Then, conversely speaking, there are some times where I put together a video that I thought was just absolute hot trash, and it performs really well. The analytics will always tell you what works the best, and you need to make sure you're paying attention to that. You want to make sure that you experiment. You got the different formats I told you about with long-form content, shorts, and live streams. Play around with them. Play around with different topics, but remember, keep it niche relevant. You try to deviate too far from that, your core content, you're going to lose a little bit. And I'll share as an example. I put out a bunch of videos about the Amazon Fire tablets and the Kindle readers. Gosh, this was in 2020. And boy, those pulled in a lot of views. But guess what it did? It confused the heck out of my audience. Because there were a bunch of people that want to learn more about tablets and e-readers, not about self-publishing. Sure, it's a bit adjacent to my stuff, but it did not make sense. It just got too far off my core content. But it's just going to take some time, folks. It's going to take some effort, and it's going to take some energy. Just avoid getting burnout. If for some reason you feel like you're on a hamster wheel and you're starting to feel like, oh gosh, this YouTube thing's going nowhere, slow down. Work with other people within this whole arena here. You can get some collaborations or even just sitting down and networking with them. Remember, stay authentic and relatable. You want to be yourself. I know there's a lot of people like, oh gosh, this is just one of those rah-rah speeches or whatever. Yeah, people can tell when you're being full of crap and when you're being yourself. Heck, you can go back to some of my old YouTube videos. You can see, oh gosh, I wasn't being myself. Now, this is me, 100%. People get to see it, warts and all. Or in your instance, if you're listening to the audio podcast, listen to it. But as we start to wrap things up, of course, I want to give a quick shout out here real quick again. Quick shout out, quick again. How many times can we say quick? Winning book awards doesn't have to be overwhelming, folks. With Book Award Pro, I won over 42 awards and saved hours of work. They handle the hard part, finding awards and reviewers that fit your book so you can focus on writing. Start now at dalehanks.com/bookawardpro today. Here are my final thoughts. Is YouTube for all authors? Depends. If you're looking at this and going, Dale, you can't put me in front of the camera, even if you put a gun to my head. Dude, first of all, one, I don't own a gun, and I'm not going to put it to your head because that just seems irresponsible. Two, no one wants to force you. But if this is something that has tickled your fancy and you're kind of going, you know what, this is something I can do, then it's probably something worth pursuing. So think about that. I'm not going to try to sell you on this, but it is a super rewarding career. I love being an author, and I love equally as much being a YouTube video creator. So think about that. Additional resources for you to look into. I put this inside the show notes as per usual. Go and check out the YouTube channel called Creator Insider. It's essentially the team at YouTube telling you about everything on a regular basis. By the way, they have every Tuesday is news day. That's the thing, by the way. Keeping it real, as they say over there. But look up Creator Insider. Fantastic. Do not miss any of their episodes. YouTube Creator Liaison. It's run by Renee. Fantastic. Another one of the minds behind YouTube. You want to make sure you follow Renee over on X as well, because he'll post some of his shorts on X and he will engage with people. And there's actually been one time where I've actually had a question answered by Renee. Really super cool. But that's Creator Insider and YouTube Creator Liaison. You can be able to see on YouTube, and you can also catch Creator Liaison. I can't say liaison. Over on X because it's so worth it. Hey, next week we're going to be talking about keyword mastery for authors. Unlock the power of discoverability as we continue on in the Self-Publishing with Dale series. Till later, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale, and I appreciate you tuning in. Catch you next week.